Night was falling outside, and the house felt unusually quiet. Only the soft ticking of the clock reminded me time was moving. I sat in the armchair, gently rocking, not on purpose, just trying to ease the heaviness in my belly. Everything inside me was tense, like the calm before a storm. My son stood up and said he was going to take a shower. Just another evening. But something in me twisted, an odd sensation, like a whisper in the back of my mind. Worry? Instinct? I couldn't tell. I brushed it off at first, but the feeling lingered. I stood up, sat down again. Waited. Listened. The sound of water, the soft splash, the steam. Still, something inside refused to calm down. That unexplainable pull mothers get sometimes, I had to check. Not out of suspicion. Not fear. Just, to be sure. I opened the bathroom door quietly. Barely a sound. He didn't hear me. Through the mist, I saw him, tall, no longer a boy. Just his silhouette. I stared for only a second. 2 at most. But that was enough. Suddenly, he turned, and our eyes met. Time froze. No words. Just a look. Not childish. Not startled. Grown up. Confused. Intense. My throat tightened. Not from fear, but from realization. There was something in that moment, something that shouldn't have been there. I shut the door. Back in the chair, my heart thudded loud in my ears. I stared at nothing, unsure what I felt. Embarrassment? Guilt? Or that unspoken something we tend to ignore, pretending it's just nothing? But it wasn't nothing, and I knew it. I'll take a short pause. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Have you ever experienced something that felt even a little similar? Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Now, back to the story. I was still standing at the doorway. Frozen. I hadn't stepped forward, but I couldn't move back either. My fingers rested lightly on the doorknob, trembling ever so slightly. That brief moment felt like it had stretched into something infinite. His eyes were intense, not inappropriate, not deliberate, but filled with something I hadn't expected to see. And in mine, something reflected. Something that shouldn't have been there. Not dirty. Not obvious. But too vivid. Too vulnerable. I stepped back, startled by my own thoughts. I returned to the bedroom, but nothing felt right anymore. What was that? Why did he look at me that way? Or was it me who had looked differently? I had only meant to check on him, hadn't I? Or was I secretly longing for something more? Not the kind of more everyone assumes. But more, connection. Presence. Warmth. The last few months of pregnancy had been filled with silence. My husband had become background noise. His touches were routine, his words mechanical. I missed something. Sensation. Myself. And in that fleeting moment with my son, I felt seen. Not as a mother. Not as someone swollen and tired. But as a woman. And maybe that's what scared me the most. Because I realized how much I missed being me. That night I barely slept. Staring at the ceiling, thoughts racing. His look. My look. I tried to brush it away, tried to forget, but it burned in my chest. Like something had awakened. Something I had buried, the craving to feel significant. The craving to feel alive. And in the morning, it got harder. At breakfast, our eyes met, just for a second. And he looked away immediately. But I knew he remembered too. Sometimes, the loudest truths are the ones we never say aloud. A few days passed. I tried to live as if nothing had changed, making soup, folding blankets, smiling at the right moments. Keeping the rhythm of normal. But everything inside me knew that was a lie. Since that moment in the bathroom, the glance, the air between us, the electricity, I hadn't stopped thinking about it. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't understand what it truly was. And why it felt so irreversible. Then something happened. Something I never saw coming. It was a quiet evening. I was doing laundry, folding clothes, sorting them into neat piles. His shirts. His shorts. And then, it slipped out of a pocket. A small folded piece of paper. Soft from being held too many times. I opened it. I miss you the way I used to. 8 words. And they shattered me. It wasn't my handwriting. And it wasn't my son's. Not a child's scribble. Not a joke. These were grown words. A woman's words. My husband had kept it close. Hidden in his pocket, next to his skin. While I was fighting with myself, trying to be strong, trying to be the version of me everyone expected, he had already left. Not physically. Not completely. But emotionally, he was with someone else. My heart didn't break. It hardened. Because now everything made sense, the silence, the short replies, the cold hands at night. I had blamed hormones. Blamed exhaustion. Blamed myself. But it wasn't me. And maybe it hadn't been us in a long time. He had left long ago, leaving behind only a version of himself that went through the motions. A man on autopilot. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. And then, I remembered that moment in the bathroom. The look in my son's eyes. He wasn't guilty. He simply saw me. The version of me that had disappeared. And strangely, that made me feel lighter. Not because of betrayal. But because I realized, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I've just been silent for too long. Let me know in the comments what you think about this story. Have you ever gone through something that turned out very different from what it first seemed? Your thoughts truly matter to me. I read every message and appreciate each one of you deeply. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like so you won't miss the next gripping story. And if you've listened until the end, write in the comments, the truth isn't always on the surface. That way I'll know who stayed with me all the way. Wishing you a calm day and a clear heart.